Hello, friends. What is going on? And welcome to another episode of the YarCrypto late night live show. My name is Groovy, guys. I'm glad to have you guys here. And today I have with me, as always, Mr. Sterling. Hello, Sterling.
May have his mic muted, but we have
I
here.
think you're
I'm legal
muted.
talent people. So how y'all doing? We'll get started over in just a moment.
Yep. So yeah, guys. Today we have another day of a little bearish situation for BTC, and but we are going to talk about some interesting stuff that has been going on the news side of things and on the on chain as well. But starting off, guys, with the charts here for BTC. This is the daily chart that I have, and I have our little range here that we have been following. And right now, guys, it seems like we are at a kind of decisive point here on the daily chart for BTC because we are very close to the 28K mark on BTC, as you guys can see here.
Mhm.
Um, and the 28K area here is where we wicked previously. Um, one of the times where was on the 22 of June, and some exchanges actually show another one in this area right here, but some exchanges don't. On Gemini, for example, we have another wick on this area right here, but right now we are approaching this area once again, and the question is if we're gonna hold this or not. Because basically, guys, this time it's a little bit different than the last two times we were in this kind of zone here, because we in the last times we reached this point here, we kind of just wicked really quickly down here, and just the price just got bought back up. But right now we are slowly decreasing, and it has been very stable, and really not much upside at all for BTC
Yeah.
in the last couple weeks, actually.
To what
Um,
you were just saying, just to add a little clarity, maybe if
mhm.
if I can, give a little explanation there. So, we do have the daily. If I could just put up the daily here on Coinbase for you guys, the wicks that he's talking about, all of them are coming from a really fast downward movement. So
Yep.
usually this is kind of like the rubber band effect that we expect when we get a price dump like this, where you have such a large red candle, and then the second one was a big red candle until pretty much the end where it kind of got bought up and wicked out. So in that case, what he was saying is we're steadily moving down, so we haven't really seen this big push to the downside where the price is just over exaggeratedly sold, and then we see this kind of wick to the upside because we have people that realize, hey, this is kind of really low, let's buy the dip. So yeah, just to add some to that.
Yep. Thank you, Legal. But guys, the scariest thing is if in the case we don't manage to actually hold the 28K range here. um, it's very scary because there's very little support between now the 28K and all the way back to the 20s 20K actually. If I pull up my chart here really quick, um, and if we look at the weekly especially, so the weekly is this kind of situation, right? And if you take a look here on the uh, previous like bull run that we had this time of year here, the beginning of the year, we just went straight up and we didn't form basically support anywhere. The only kind of range that we have that we can kind of reference is the this range here at the 20K level, because if you guys take a look, it's a support zone kind of, and this is also the previous top here on the 2017 bull run. So if you draw a line here in this area, you guys see that we have this support very clear here from the last um, bull run, the last
Yeah,
cycle.
yeah,
But we never stopped that much on this area to actually form that support. So
Yeah.
it, yeah, it gets us wondering what is gonna happen if we actually lose this area here.
Yeah, because at the moment, if I can pull my chart back up just to show some of the things that I'm seeing on the charts here, we
Yeah,
we do have this descending parallel channel that Bitcoin has been in since here we look at the 9th of July this month. And so we're looking at 11 days so far that we've been in this channel perfectly. No exaggerated attempts to get out of it, just respecting it all the way down. And I have here, some standard pivot points, which I have tuned currently to the Fibonacci type, which I find works better with the Bitcoin asset. And at the moment, like we were saying, we're in the middle of support and resistance, and so it is a crucial time right now. I would want us to get back to the top of this channel and reclaim the S2 support level for the weekly pivot points, which I have it currently set to. So each one of these lines represent an entire week of price action, and
yeah,
so I find a lot more confluence here because we're using the previous entire week to gain these levels for these pivot points. So right now I'm looking for S3 to hold. If we do break down, currently the price target there is 28.8. I actually have an order for spots placed at 28.9 if we do come down and maybe retest this level one more time before going up. And the other argument would be for a possible double bottom situation with this previous wick. So this is some interesting levels right now to be
yeah,
at the moment. Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, guys, and like in the previous streams and even on my previous videos on the channel, I mentioned that we shouldn't. I don't expect us to actually lose the 28K because this is a demand zone still, and it seems like a lot of people have orders here and people buy at these levels. But um, if in the case that we lose it, we are basically gonna need to reassess some things. But I think it's time for us to actually get a relief rally because in the last couple weeks, if you look at the weekly chart, this is basically being downside after downside. There's not really any upside momentum anywhere on this chart, and even on the daily, we haven't have had an upside move more than like 2%, um, and the bulls have absolutely no strength. So I believe that we should get a relief rally, uh, one day and probably soon, because usually when we see a lot of downside like this, we need a sort of balance in the price action. And if you look at the RSI, guys, as well, on the daily time frame here, you guys see that we are almost at the oversold position here. The weekly RSI as well is very under the 50 line here, almost at under oversold as well. And the lower time frames are even more oversold. So
one thing to mention, Groovy, because I see that we did on those lows that we did reach on the RSI. The moment that we reached those lows, like on the price action, we do see wicks that are relatively close to where we're at now.
yeah,
However, we should note that the RSI is sourcing the closing price, not the lowest reached or highest reached price of a particular candle.
yeah,
So basically, because we did run into that when we were looking at certain lows before, how we were like, oh well, this is actually just not a lower low on the price action. However, that was just because the wick was as low, but the actual
Yeah.
body and closing price of the candlestick was in fact higher than
Yeah.
the next low. So
And to
Yeah.
touch on that really quickly, if I could just touch on
yeah,
my chart for a quick moment, just to give an example here, I particularly like to go by the wicks of the candles. Now that can get you in trouble because a lot of these indicators are tuned to the body closing, and sometimes they don't have the setting to change that. So I have like my little custom indicator here with just a RSI and the default money flow index from TradingView, which I've added together. And in this instance, I have mine set to actually the high and the low, which in Sterling's case, he's referring to the actual close of the candles. And as you can see, the actual price action, let me just go back to high, low, and close. You can see it changes drastically. And so depending on what you're using to get your signals, you have to actually have the corresponding indicator as well. So that's is an important distinction that he just made there to keep in mind.
yeah, especially with divergences because we're looking at the correlation between two impulses.
Yep,
So
exactly.
essentially, we want to make sure that we're sourcing on the ladder oscillator where we're
Yeah.
looking. We want to make sure that it's sourcing the right thing that we're looking at, basically. Otherwise, there's no
Yeah.
point.
And
Yeah.
Groovy, you were bringing up about potential relief rally that we could potentially be looking for. And so like if you pull up my chart once again, I have here for the most part a general idea of the bull markets and bear markets going back from the beginning of, here in November of 2011. And this is the Bitstamp chart, which has some of the most, um, long-standing data that we can use. And at the moment, we have here the previous bull run was roughly about 728, 730 days, and the next corresponding bear market was about 413 to 420 days. Then we are followed by a period of accumulation where there's just this little accumulation phase and then we move on to the next bull period. But the one thing that I'm noting here is that the next bull period was 847 days, a little bit noticeably longer. And if we look here, usually we generally call the start of the bull one from, when the RSI reaches its lowest on the weekly here. So, for example, here is the lowest, and then we start the accumulation before the move to the upside. And over here is where it was the lowest, marking the end of the actual bear market and the start of either the accumulation period or the bull run. So the one thing that had us a little bit tricked here is because we did have this kind of move to the upside and then the corona time, which gave us this big red correction here. So my argument is how many days was this time frame? We're looking at 805, slightly less than the previous. But now if we are in, let's say, this kind of bear market, then should we look to get this going on as well? And then now maybe a little shorter, given because it looks like each one is correspondingly shorter bear markets and each corresponding bull market is longer. So by that token, I would expect this one to be a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do you think about that? Because I've been trying to track, these movements, and it's important for us to kind of distinguish if we are in a bear market, and then we have to make our decisions accordingly.
Yeah, for sure. People asked me this question before, and if I should uh, give a kind of a opinion on are we on a bear market or not, I would say yes, because this is clear bear market behavior here on the charts. We are below every EMA possible
Yeah,
um, on the daily and on the 4 hour, even on the almost on the weekly as well. But the question that I usually bring is how long would this actually take? Because
exactly.
we never know. Because like, what's the definition of a bear market? Does it have to be a certain time frame? I don't think there is kind of a certain time frame for us to actually consider something a bear market. But we can
Yeah,
consider these bear periods that we have, and
yeah,
especially when we are like in below EMAs and just trading sideways,
yeah.
no volume, kind
And
of
in hindsight, obviously, we're able to say after the fact, okay, yeah, this is where we reached our peak. This is where we reached our low. This was
yeah,
the bear markets, or just, if we go by fractals, or if we go by previous price action, we are decreasing the length of these bear market times. So, we went from about 420 to about 360. So are we
Exactly.
going to go to, less than that, and have, kind of like a half a year kind of bear market thing, which would
Yeah.
be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. We might be in this position of sideways movement for a couple months or a couple weeks. It might be shorter because cryptocurrency has been growing very fast, and a lot more people know about it now than they knew back then.
Yeah. The adoption.
Um yeah, the adoption is growing very fast, and just to tie this up now, the accumulation has been going on, for weeks now in this period that we are having, and we showed this time and time again on the live stream as well. And I want to talk to you guys about it right now as well, because even if we look at the RSI here, guys, we see that even being at our lowest point in terms of closes of candles on this daily time frame, the RSI is still almost at the same level that it was
Hmm.
a couple weeks ago. Because if we draw a line here, and even if we compare the RSI now with this period here, we see that the RSI is higher now.
Yeah.
Um, and just to be clear, guys, we just talked about it, but um, the RSI considers the closes. So this, for example, this move here that I'm showing you guys, where we were basically a lot of oversold. Uh, this the RSI counted from the close here, um, and now we are a little higher. So this is another sign of accumulation. But before I go a little more in depth about accumulation, because I do have some little piece of on-chain information to you guys. I want to talk about the DXY a little bit here, just to give some reference to what is going on. And the XY here, guys, I've been following this for a while now, and we always bring this up on here on the live show as well. I have the weekly time frame here on the DXY, and as you guys know, we have this W pattern very clear here on the weekly, and weekly, patterns always have a lot more relevance on the long run. And right now we are basically testing the neckline here uh, in this area. We have seen some rejection, but if this is indeed the W and we break the neckline, then we should just rally to the upside here on the DXY. Uh, and the daily time frame here, I talked to you guys about a possibility of a rounded top here.
Mm.
But if this actually ends up not being, and it seems like it's breaking apart a little bit from the last daily candles. If this ends up not being a reversal pattern, then and we actually break this neckline, then we might see a little bad situation for crypto as well, because
Yeah.
yeah,
We've been
because of
seeing
the
that
inverse
in the
correlation,
story,
right?
exactly, where as soon as the DXY is pumping, it seems like the money's exiting crypto and going into the dollar. So it's
Yeah,
important, very important chart.
yeah, for sure. And we talked about how the RSI here is diverging on the DXY. So I don't know if this is actually gonna play out, uh, but this is a little bit of indication of some downside move
Hmm.
because of this divergence here. So yeah, we gotta watch carefully what the DXY is doing, because it's certainly gonna have a little effect on BTC.
Yeah, and
Okay,
especially
guys.
since it's on an uptrend, we have to take the bearish divergences with a grain of salt until we're
Yeah,
confirmed.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, guys, moving on. I want to talk to you guys about some on chain here, and I have this tweet from Lark Davis here,
Mm.
and he's showing this chart from Glassnode, and it's basically the illiquid supply chain for BTC. And the illiquid supply chain, guys, for anyone who doesn't know, is basically the supply from entities that is basically not being really circulated on the market, and it's not really circulating. So basically, people who are holding and not really selling. Okay,
Yeah.
so if you take a closer look here in this chart, we see that after a gigantic period of just these coins being thrown into the market here, which is this red zone here, and
Hmm.
we saw that it was confluent with the dump as well that we had from 60K. Now we are seeing a change in this direction here. So basically, a return to accumulation, as he pointed out on the chart here. So it's basically, guys, that what we talk about here, because the accumulation always happens on bearish periods like this. You guys never gonna see people accumulating heavily when we are at euphoria phases and retail FOMO phases of the market. This always happens when we are at the most fearful state on the
Yeah.
retail side of things, and people just start accumulating.
And what's the adage? That millionaires are made during bear markets.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah,
that's
for
the expression.
and so that's
yeah,
what it is. You accumulate at the lower prices and hold until we reach that next bull market.
yeah. And some people might ask, like, if whales are accumulating and people are buying, then why does it keep tanking? Why it's not going up? And basically, guys, it's because the retail, and it's just a fear on the market. Uh,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there are still a lot of people who are panic selling, and the retail. I think most part of the retail is afraid of buying right now, and accumulations, especially from smart money, usually it's not going to affect that much on the price. So you're not going to see the price just suddenly go up to 40K because of that accumulation.
Yeah, because they're
But
not buying it in one purchase.
in one
This
go,
is
yeah,
done over an extended period of time, over a week, over 2 weeks. They're doing this big purchase of $1 billion or so, let's say, for example. They're not
exactly.
going to do that in one purchase because they will create this huge candle to the upside, and there will be
Yeah.
that huge rubber band correction at the end.
Yep. So, guys, that this is basically what's going on, and the on-chain is clearly signaling that whales are accumulating, but I do think we're gonna need some big news to come to actually draw the retail onto the uh, cryptocurrencies once again, as we did back on the beginning of the year.
And as we do
So,
see is something we do notice, we reach these certain levels after an impulse move to the upside where the retail starts to gain that confidence and they start jumping in. Unfortunately, a lot of them jump in at the top because we reach those kind of euphoric moments and stages in terms of price action. So it's a little difficult.
yeah. So we got a question on the comments from Jose. Hello, boys. One quick question, if possible. Are we forming a hidden bearish divergence on the 1 hour, confirming that we will indeed go down furthermore, especially that Asian is entering the market now? So let's take a look at the 1 hour here. Uh,
So, yeah. So the price action is doing a lower high, and we are having a higher high on some of the oscillators here. And so currently, we are seeing a reaction, I would say, from the previous hourly candle at the moment. And yeah, so for me, I have the money flow index diverging clearly here. If I can get a line for you all to see, and obviously the price as well is now forming a lower high. So there is
Yeah,
divergences formed. We're going to see a lot more of this sideways action. It's not really confirming that we will go down, but if you notice, from here we started forming these divergence prior as well, with very little movement to the downside. So if we are in a smaller uptrend, the bearish divergences will have less effect.
yeah. It seems like the RSI is following the price a little bit
Hmm.
uh, for now, but we see that the RSI is going up very uh, hard
Steady.
here. Yeah, but actually the price is not going up that much
Yeah.
because usually when we see these types of moves on the RSI here, for example, from here to here, almost to the 50 line, we see bigger moves than this
Yep.
because we basically are sideways here and the RSI is still going up. Um, if we take this move here, isolated from this point right here to this point right here, you guys see that this is a higher low on the RSI here,
Hmm.
but the price kept going down. So this is indeed a hidden bearish, um, and it might play out still. We might not have seen the this hidden bearish actually on the charts yet, but uh, this is basically an indication of weak buying pressure, right? Because the RSI is going up a lot and the price is just going sideways.
Hmm.
So, yeah, this might be a bearish signal, I think. But yeah, guys, I think this is basically it for BTC for now. Um, and we might move on to some news now, if you guys don't mind.
Yep.
And the first thing that we gathered for you guys here is the EU situation here. And this article from Cointelegraph talks about how the new EU proposal looks to tighten regulations for sending cryptocurrency. Um, and they continue saying here that the European Commission has submitted a new proposal that would require crypto asset service providers to collect additional anti-money laundering information from those who utilize cryptocurrency for money transfers. So they're basically bringing a lot of more security for the crypto um, negotiations and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And also here they say that under this proposal, service providers conducting transfers must have the name of the originator of the transfer, the account number, where the account exists, and where it is used to process the transaction. Um, this seems like a lot of centralization, to be honest,
Yeah.
but
And
I
one of
think,
the things
yeah,
that they also mentioned there is that all of the proposals that they have, they were aimed towards the goal of improving detection of suspicious transactions and stopping money laundering, as well
yeah,
as the financing of terrorist activities. But at 1,000 euros, how many money launderers and funding terrorist activities are going to be affected by this negatively, and possibly are going to push them on the ground, which is one of the things that they're trying to avoid, is to push the retailer on the ground to use other more shady, services.
yeah, exactly. This might, yeah, it's basically how you said, because this might help on one side, but it might hinder things on the other, right? But yeah, guys, crypto regulation is tricky when you are dealing with stuff like this, because the nature of the network is being decentralized. uh, sometimes it's hard for you to actually uh, have a system that prevents money laundering and stuff like that without actually hurting the concept on the other side, right? So it's tricky stuff, but they're trying to make some security um, changes, and we just have to see how it's gonna play out and how the retail is gonna uh, behave with that type of regulation on board
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean the the fact is that like the EU is probably trying to get itself ahead in terms of doing these regulations, just so they could get a little bit of a step ahead in terms of being able to control things from the outside, because they don't really have a lot of control or um, confidence in the regulatory frameworks that are in place right now. So I think they really just want to buy themselves some time, and then eventually they will adopt crypto and CBDCs and all that good fun stuff.
Yeah,
They just want
yeah,
to buy themselves
yeah.
some time.
The regulations are a big part of it, especially when we are talking about government, because they do have to protect people in some ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's just a matter of time. They need to understand it, and you know when they fully understand it, they might be able to make some efficient security measures for the actual network and stuff like that.
Yeah. Exactly.
And
Yeah,
the um when it comes to, like, for example, with Binance, and I know this doesn't have to do with the EU, this actually has to do with the US, but still, with Binance, basically they were requesting letters of appreciation from the FBI and the IRS, and the Department of Justice basically issued an order to the FBI saying, please don't sign any of these appreciation notes anymore to Binance, because
Yeah.
basically um, Binance was cooperating and collaborating on these investigations with the FBI and the IRS in terms of investigations for criminal activities or criminal money laundering activities or fraud or hacking. And Binance was collaborating with the FBI, but Binance was actually requesting those appreciation letters to basically show to the public, look, we are a law-abiding exchange, we are a law-abiding company,
Yeah.
and basically the DOJ was basically like to the FBI and the IRS, don't sign these letters anymore.
Yeah. So like
However, there was a
oh,
detective. Yeah, sorry, there was a
no. Right.
detective from California who did say, in fact, that Binance was very cooperative in these investigations and did help and support these investigations. So I guess he was kind of like responding to the DOJ's command. But yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
like one of the other caveats to this, that's important to note is that by law they're required to cooperate. So these thank you notes, they were just a formality, but what was happening was Binance was using them allegedly to kind of help them kind of get more business in an effect. So they would say, hey, look,
yeah,
we are being very cooperative here and there. We have these letters and thank you notes, so you want to do business with us. And so they also went to say, a spokesman said that essentially they denied it. They said, we weren't asking for them, they just send them, and so we had them.
yeah,
But
and
it's
that
a big
that
thing there.
detective did also say that when Binance would send these templates for appreciation letters that he was supposed to sign, he would actually go ahead and change the note a little bit, because
Yeah.
he's the one who's essentially sending the note. Binance is just sending him a template of an appreciation note for him to sign, but he's allowed to change it if he wants to sign it. So
Yeah.
he can make a new note and then sign it and then send it off to Binance, and that's still fair. It's his note at the end of
Exactly.
the day.
yeah,
He just got a template from Binance.
Yeah, and talking
But
about Binance, we have some other news here. also about Binance. And so for anyone who's actually, trading in the actual stock tokens. So you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about that, Groovy?
Yeah, so basically, guys, this article here from Cointelegraph, and it's basically saying that Binance stops token sales and effective immediately. So basically, they continue saying here that Binance's highly popular stock tokens, a relatively recent offering, are being wound down immediately. In an announcement published on Friday, the exchange announced that effective immediately, stock tokens are unavailable for purchase on Binance.com. And as of October 14 of 2021, at 7:55 p.m. UTC, the exchange will no longer support stock tokens at all. Um, but and even and they continue even to quote here, users who currently hold stock tokens may sell or hold them over the next 90 days. Users will no longer be able to manually sell or close their positions after 14th of October. And thereafter, all stock token positions on Binance.com will be closed at the 15th of October. So yeah, guys, this is big because it's not they're very recent tokens that they released, um, and now they're taking it down. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would just like to can you just explain to us a little bit more about sorry.
No, you're
It's
okay.
just
oh
like
yeah,
I was looking at the other article that we were about to talk about.
yeah, yeah, no problem. But basically, the article here, guys, they're saying that basically in late April, there had already been reports that the European and British regulators were scrutinizing Binance's offering of stock tokens. So this is related also to that European and British regulation stuff. And they continue here, which represent fractions of equity shares in firms such as Tesla and Coinbase for possible non-compliance with securities laws. And while initially not commenting on Binance in particular, Germany's Federal Financial Supervisory Authority went on record at the time stating that fundamentally the following applies. If tokens are transferable, can be traded at a crypto exchange, and are equipped with economic entitlements like dividends or cash settlements, they represent securities and are subject to the obligation to publish a prospectus. So yeah, guys, Binance apparently got in some trouble with it, and now they have to take it down. And they have they even say here on the article that they have been having some difficulties on the regulatory front, with multiple countries taking action against it and investigating it.
Yeah.
So yeah, another thing from Binance,
They
and the
just they
EU
can't
and
stop being in the
stuff.
news. I mean, and also, we're talking about regulation. So, let's talk a little bit about this Bondly attack that happened, I believe, on the 14th.
Yeah,
So,
that,
this is kind of what kind of fuels some of the talks and, calls for these kind of regulatory action that is needed. So yeah, we have this Bondly attack on the 14th, and we have a letter here from Harry Liu
yeah.
at the moment.
So basically, Bondly guys, um, I personally, I don't know much about the project per se, but I do know that the project has been talked about a lot, especially in the beginning of the year with that whole altcoin mania that was going on. So, and Bondly had been have been one of the most talked about altcoins from that period. And I saw that a lot of people were talking about it on YouTube and on Twitter as well. And I guess I suppose that a lot of people actually poured a lot of money into it. And apparently uh, the network had suffered an attack,
Yeah.
and some stuff happened. So
And
basically,
so if
they're
I can just like really briefly, it says here, because we have the initial key
yeah.
takeaways. And the first one is that the ownership of Bonley's token contract was compromised and transferred to the attacker's wallet. And it says that, they will be resolving that immediately. The other thing is that to facilitate forthcoming transactions, what the attacker transferred the ether from Tornado Cash to a cryptocurrency, a Tornado Cash, which is a cryptocurrency mixer, and they did it to their proxy wallet, and then it was subsequently sent to an unknown wallet address. So, given the decentralization and just the anonymity of these addresses being sent back and forth, it was just really hard for them to track it. But the one thing is important to note is that, they had a compromise from within. And so there is one person currently taking leave pending the investigation. So that way nothing is, seen as untoward.
Yeah, but guys, unfortunately, we see time and time again stuff like this happen
Mhm.
on crypto, and it's sad, really, but it happens, and it's gonna be interesting to see how they resolve the situation here. Um, but the crypto market and the crypto network is a constant evolving environment. So I believe in the future we will see less of this stuff happening. But this happens, and it's hard to actually predict something
Yeah.
like this is going to happen, especially with a project that is seems like it was a very promising project.
Yeah.
um, it might
And
still be, but this stuff happens.
And
Yeah.
we do have to keep in mind we are in dealing with early adoption on a lot of these different technologies and new blockchain technologies. So there are going to be some hiccups. It's just how they deal with it and how the regulatory actions that come about it, are processed. And that's to me what's going to be what I want to see happen. How are they going to, attack this, and how much regulation is going to affect, the future blockchains to come.
Yeah, guys. Continuing on here, we also have some news about Mastercard, and this is a exciting one
Yeah.
because we see here that Mastercard to test USDC for payments as stablecoin scrutiny intensifies. And they are going to use the USDC stablecoin as a bridge asset for cardholders who want to pay for goods using cryptocurrencies. So this is very big for crypto. They say here on the article that MasterCard has named the first stablecoin and a handful of partner companies that will help cryptocurrency holders spend their digital assets at merchants that accept the payment giants cards. In the pilot announced Tuesday, Circle's USDC will serve as a bridge between the cryptocurrency consumers' digital wallets and the fiat currency paid to merchants. So yeah,
Big
USDC
news,
getting a
big,
lot
big
of
news.
attention here,
Yeah.
and this is very big because I think being able to have the uh, ease to use the crypto as a means of paying and buying stuff. It's very very nice,
Yeah.
and Visa and Mastercard are uh, being adopting it at a very fast pace.
Hmm.
So yeah, this is very good news for us, guys.
And just talking about Binance and all of the issues currently in the EU with GBP and not being able to use fiat in a lot of cases in certain countries with Binance, this will kind of open the door and open the ability for those people to have a way and a safe way at that to use their crypto as a form of
Yeah,
fiat to make purchases.
it's fun because like it's not it's like um it's instantly transferring crypto into fiat the moment that they swipe their card. So it's
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically like you basically got your crypto wallet on this card, and then every time you spend it, it spends it in fiat. So it could be it's pretty interesting because I wonder what people would prefer. What crypto would people prefer to hold on that card? Like, because if you're going
And
to use
then
it for everyday spending,
yeah.
you're gonna probably not want to be holding Bitcoin on it. You're probably gonna want to be holding Doge, which you're quick to get rid of because you know.
But here's the thing, USDC, I'm seeing it as an increasingly,
Yeah,
um,
USDC.
yeah, it's seeming more and more like the thing to do. Like, isn't it BlockFi that offers some pretty good, staking on USDC?
Yeah, so it
yeah,
depends. At
yeah,
that point, what's better, the staking or just holding it in a bank?
Well,
You know,
that
it
well, that's the
depends.
thing. So, you have your fiat in the bank. You're dealing with bank, and returns on the end of the year versus something like 6 to 10%. I'm not sure what the current rate is on
Yeah,
BlockFi, but we're talking about holding your currency there, getting rewards, as well as being able to quickly use it to make purchases without having to send it to a
yeah,
bank, convert it to fiat. So
yeah.
there's a lot of use cases there.
And it's one less step to be able to convert it into another crypto that's about to go to the moon.
yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, they're making it really really easy for just swapping a cryptocurrency for a stable coin and then swapping to fiat because um, yeah, a lot of people have that desire of just using crypto and whatever makes it easier, especially on a big company like this.
Yep.
Then yeah, it's very very nice stuff for crypto for
And
sure.
talking about using crypto easier, we have an article here about the Rothschild Investment Corp and, them increasing their Bitcoin exposure through through ETFs and the grayscale, stocks here with Ethereum. So that's
Yeah,
something that, we can bring up and talk about because, it touches to the subject as well.
yeah, and this also brings up the whole accumulation thing, right?
Mhm.
Because
Yes.
uh, we also have this Cointelegraph article here, and basically Rothschild Investment Corp has increased its Bitcoin exposure by 300% since April. So basically, they talk here that billion-dollar investment firm Rothschild Investment Corp quadrupled its exposure to BTC since April, new records show. In a filing with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission on Saturday, the Rothschild confirmed that it now owns 141,000 over 141,000 shares of the Grayscale BTC Trust. And its exposure to BTC has increased considerably because in April they were holding uh, a total of 38,000 shares.
Yeah.
So this is a big move for them.
And if we can just
Um,
briefly just pull up my chart here,
yeah,
just to give a little bit of confluence here as to, this information here. Where's April on our chart here? So we have the very top of our bull run up here on this line. And then right here, after this dip here, is where we have our April, end of April. So I'm assuming that, this is the period that they're accumulating during, these sideways movements during April, as well as more around, after we dip some more. So, it's interesting
Yeah.
to see that we have some news here talking about their purchases, and the fact that we do have a correlation on the charts where the price was at a low at that point.
Yeah. It's basically showing like smart money is buying the dip
Yep,
and retail is selling the dip.
exactly.
So, that's basically the flow of things in the crypto space and a lot of other spaces as well.
Yeah.
I figure. But yeah, guys, this is another sign of accumulation. Very big stuff happening.
Yeah.
But I think that's all that we had for you guys today, guys. We touched on a lot of news going on, and just to wrap up here, we see that the price for BTC right now, if I take a look at the 4 hour, we are getting a little more downside as usual. So yeah, let's see if this big zone here at the 28K is gonna hold. We are gonna keep you guys updated on this over the next couple days as well, guys. But yeah, guys, thank you guys for watching, for everyone who showed up to the stream, and whoever's gonna watch on YouTube as well. If you guys want to see more of our content, guys, you can access yarcrypto.com. We also have our news website, which is yarcryptonews.com. And we also have our Discord community, guys, where we talk all about crypto related stuff. We do live TA every day as well, guys. So we are following these charts on the Discord, talking about it, trading it as well. So if you guys are interested in that, please consider checking it out. Um, so yeah, guys, again, thank you guys so much for watching. Good night to you all, and bye bye, guys.
Bye,
Take care,
guys.
people. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Take care.